I'm Chris Ellison. You may know me better as D.I. Burnside, the hard-nosed copper. Always happy to shove some little scrote's head down a carsey. Nothing wrong with that in a police drama.
They just ran past and they just started hitting us. I wasn't doing anything.
But what about the real old Bill?
Unit 6A for collator.
With exclusive footage from the police archives...
Where are the guns? Near the TV. Don't touch them.
...and explosive newsreel, we're going to get the lowdown from the coppers who were on the front line of crime in a world that's gone forever.
It was hard, it was scary.
There were hard times.
I can remember being assaulted one night.
Strange times.
There's a little old lady. I didn't think she could take a punch, so in a flash, I pushed her through a hedge and I ran off.
Tough times.
There are times when it does go badly wrong.
And if something does go wrong, then somebody will die.
And times when the old Bill gave as good as it got.
It was face-to-face fighting.
The modern-day police officer is geared up to deal with any situation. Kevlar stab vests, shatterproof riot shields. Fully trained, these guys are ready for anything you can throw at them. In 1980, the Metropolitan Police opened the first dedicated riot training facility in the country.
These men learn confidence in their shields.
We were all petrol bombed there. We had to stand while someone threw a petrol bomb at our feet. That was the most difficult thing because it actually sucked the air away, so you were sort of gasping for air for a short while. But that became normal. Petrol bombing held no fear for us, really.
These full-force training methods were bringing policing into the modern era. Less than 20 years earlier, it was a very different story. In 1968, an estimated 10,000 anti-Vietnam War demonstrators marched on the US Embassy in London's Grosvenor Square.
We could hear the crowd come. We could hear them chanting "Ho, ho, Ho Chi Minh" from a mile away. When the demonstrators actually made their way into Grosvenor Square, a deadly hush came over the demonstrators as they saw the amount of police presence.
Over 1,000 regular beat bobbies had been drafted in to prevent the demonstrators storming the US Embassy. The stakes were far higher than the protesters realised, as mounted officer on the day, Sidney Lutz, remembers.
The rumour was that the Americans had a machine gun mounted inside.
Without riot gear, all the coppers could do was follow their basic training, link arms and hope for the best.
They were just coming and coming and coming. It was just like a wave of people. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
We didn't expect the violence, and we never had sufficient. I think we had 20 horses there.
It's going. The police are being pushed backwards. The police are just holding. They're through. The first are through now.
The scenes at Grosvenor Square looked more like a medieval battlefield than a coordinated police operation.
They're in. The horses are in now. They're screaming now. Absolute hysteria.
My jacket was ripped across the sleeve where they tried to jump up and pull us off. The majority of mounted police were all what I would call slightly aggressive.
The mounted police needed to be. The rioters targeted them and their horses.
They were throwing anything that they could lay hands on us, including pots of paint with the small tins of paint.
It was all too much for one servant of Her Majesty's force.
The police horse was called Mark. He was from my stable, and he was probably one of the worst police horses we had. He was terrible in traffic, hated everything. He's actually jumping out of the gardens back over into the police lines where it was safe because he'd had enough.
The thin blue line survived the onslaught. Lessons would have to be learned to bring policing into the modern era.
When we were eventually stood down, foot duty officers actually applauded us. Yes, we did save the day.
Now that's what I call a ruck. It's a far cry from the image of the friendly local bobby on the beat. Since the 1930s, police training colleges have been taking all manner of spotty, scruffy youths and turning them into shining examples of Her Majesty's finest.
Come in here and have a look at these. Gee, boy, we could get two of us under there.
Then that becomes...
You come out of training school, right, 13 weeks of training school, and of course what training school was about then was to remove any vestige of common sense out of an individual.
I, Ian Howell Taylor.
Their common sense may be dented, but at least they had a common purpose to do their duty. With their vows made to the motherland, these new recruits were ready to give directions, help old ladies across the road, and give the occasional clip around the ear hole. Sometimes to a little old lady.
1 o'clock in the morning, I'm walking up to the police station and there's a little old lady. She's got a rainmate on an umbrella and she's tottering down towards me. And all I said to her is, "Good night, love." And the string of abuse that came out, I've never heard a woman in her 80s come out with such profanity. And then she started hitting me with the umbrella. Well, I had to make a decision very quickly. You know, I didn't feel that it would be the right thing to sort of strike her with my truncheon. I didn't think she could take a punch. So in a flash of a second, I pushed her through a hedge and I ran off.
The Beat Bobbies. It's a routine start to a day which begins with a briefing on the information that's important for their 8-hour tour of duty.
Newly qualified officers were given their friendly neighbourhood beats.
If I get any complaints about noise or behaviour, then I'll be down on you. Good. Shut up.
We did have a good control on what was going on our manor.
What is the pig